And welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and happy to be back on here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. It has been a while. It's actually been a couple of weeks. We had some delays. We had some cancellations. We had my daughter's birthday week where she canceled on me. She was going to be my guest, and I got booted for LOL dolls or something like that, but we didn't make the cut. But happy to be back on here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. And we have a fantastic guest tonight. We're going to meet Nili Bartley here in a moment. She is the author of Lead Beyond Your Title. And we're going to talk leadership. We're going to talk education. We're going to talk all about the hashtag Lead Lap and hashtag T-Lap with the Burgess Group and all those great things. I have my notebook here ready to go. It is a blank notebook. You see that? And we are about to fill it with all the great things that Nili's going to share and talk about. And this is how I'm going to record my notes. This is our sponsor of the show here, Rocketbook. I love this Rocketbook. If you watched the show before, you know that I have a relationship with them and I enjoy their product. So it's a great way to take notes. It is a reusable notebook. And when we are done, I am going to mark one of these on the bottom and it's going to go to my Google Drive, my Google email. I might share it with Nili, but it's going to give me a transcription of my notes and I'm going to have a record of it. And when I'm done, I can just wipe it off and I still got my notebook because sometimes I lose things. And if you're a busy educator, if you're a parent and you're running around and you lose that, where was that paper? Where's that notebook? I always have it. So I want to thank Rocketbook for sponsoring the show. Check out their website. You punch in Murata20 for a 20% discount. And that's on rocketbook.com. It's a really cool product and I'm happy they're part of the show. So thanks to Rocketbook. Check them out. So that being said, we're going to get right to it. It is show number 89. I'm excited. We're almost at 100, which is great.
Wow.
And it's been a cool journey so far. So we're going to talk to Nili here in a moment and lead beyond your title. For those that know the show and know me, they know I'm a high school principal, right? And the high school principal is supposed to lead the school, right? The high school principal is supposed to set the tone and be in charge. And this book is all about teacher leaders, school leaders, regardless of what their title is. And it was so inspiring for me to read this and get going because those teacher leaders are out there and they need someone like Nili. They need someone just to springboard them forward, right? And the book is all about what it says, right? It's regardless of what you do in the school, you can be a leader. And I just wanted to talk for a little bit about chapter 7. I'm not going to read to you, but here it is here. You know, we all play a role in our schools, right? And leading our schools. That's not the mentality of everyone. And if you're in schools, you're in education, you know that. And Nili really brings it out in this chapter. She tells a story, and I'm going to ask her about it, but she tells a story here about Squish the Squash. and when she got started in her school and she was like, man, and they could just tell that she was going to like raise her hand and get involved. And they were like, yo, calm down, young lady. Don't get going. And people tried to hold her back and squash that enthusiasm and basically told her, like, don't speak up. Don't raise your hand. And she was like, what? And she said, no way. And boom, now look at her. Look at all what she's doing. And I was inspired by that. I was really inspired by that. If you are watching live with us here tonight on Facebook, or even if you watch it on tape afterwards, I'm dating myself. If you watch it online afterwards,
I got you.
Leave us a comment, leave us a question, leave us a comment, and we'd be happy to talk with you tonight. If we have time tonight, we will answer your questions, but leave us a comment tonight. But that chapter really resonated with me. I'm going to ask Nili what part of the book resonated with her. This part was about, again, anyone can lead regardless of the title. And you just need that one person to say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and try this. And Nili tells a bunch of stories in the book like that. And that's inspiring for a school leader, right? Don't hold back. Let go. Raise your hand. Get involved. Try new things. All of those things. And these are all in those chapters. And I'm going to welcome Nili in here. I talk too much. People say, Andrew, cut out the opening segment of your show and get right to the guest because you talk too much. But here she is, everyone, live on Facebook. This is Nili Bartley. Nili, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. And I find you very inspiring. So I mean, talk as much as you want, please. It's completely okay.
Well, this is Nili Bartley, and again, the author of Lead Beyond Your Title. And I appreciate that, Nili. But sometimes people get tired of hearing the principal, right? He's up in front, yip yapping, and here you are, a teacher leader, now an author leader, now a Twitter leader, all of these things because of your enthusiasm and your willingness to just get involved. So tell me, Nili, tell me about this journey you were on and how it got started. You tell a great story to open the book. Tell me how you got started on this journey.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. So basically, when I think about my journey, I think about my pirate journey because ever since I started teaching, it's pretty much been one since I started my career with Beth Huff. So let's see, this is my 15th year. So way back when we were in our 20s, I started my teaching career with her. So we were teaching like pirates before we even knew it, and that always stayed with me. So Beth really helped me kind of shape my philosophy on education and become the teacher that I really wanted to be with passion and enthusiasm. And she was hard to keep up with, like, the danger of having a key to your classroom in your building. I was there on the weekends, like every weekend, but it was so worth it. And we had a blast. So that's always been such a key part of my journey is taking those 2 years with me, even when I came back to Boston, that never left me. In terms of really going pirate, I actually kind of had like a bump in the road, and I do write about this in the book. I started feeling lost as an educator about, let's see, well, I guess it was a little over 4 years ago. I mean, there's really no other way to put it, I had a really bad observation. I mean, it was bad. And I didn't know it was bad. So that's the tough part is when you think something actually went well, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no. And I really started questioning myself and what I kind of brought to the table as a teacher. And Beth was there for me through the whole thing. And, suddenly she sends me a book for my birthday about a month later called Teach Like a Pirate by Dave Burgess. And I kind of questioned like the whole pirate thing at first, right? I was like, what did she getting herself into? And then I read the book and that was it. Dave says that we are in this life-changing business, but I hope he realizes, and I'm sure he does, but it's a life-changing book, right? So they go hand in hand. And I really never had, this is almost 5 years ago, another, unpirate day again. I turned pirate. I found my crew online. I really had my first crew in school as my students, the super
Crew
pirates.
202, right?
Crew 202, yes. They were a great place to start. I mean, what 10-year-old doesn't want to be a pirate with their teacher? So it really kind of was this pivotal point in my career and in my journey where everything and anything seemed possible. I connected to the passion of why I started teaching in the first place. My students were on board with me. I had courage. Then comes Learn Like a Pirate, and it just turned into the best year ever. And it exceeded all expectations. And what's so cool is that's where the book starts. And the kids never leave. So it's almost like they were there writing it with me. And that's basically how my journey kind of got to where it is today. And it really, I would say, Teach Like a Pirate was the biggest influence.
And so you share that Beth, and that's a great story, Nili. Beth gave you the book. What was it in the book that, it punches you in the face, right? It takes you by the shoulders and says, you need to do this, But what was it in there that got you going? What was that spark?
I think, and I felt it overall in the book, but I think what really got to me, and I think this is what is so awesome because I think this is what resonates with most people that read it, is that whole idea of, would you buy a ticket to your own lesson? And I wanted to be that teacher that could say yes. And I know it's not always perfect, but if I wasn't bringing who I was to the classroom and inspiring my kids to bring who they were, then I knew that I couldn't get to that point, because who I am is someone who enthusiastically enjoys showing up every day. And if you hold back, or you fall into that trap of being overwhelmed with the everyday demands of teaching and the testing and, the pacing charts. And if you can't free yourself from that and do what you know is best for kids, then it's impossible to teach like a pirate. So it gave me that freedom. It sort of broke that weight that I felt under, and I had the time of my life, and I still am.
You can tell and you can hear it in your enthusiasm. And our friend Jay Billy is watching.
Jay!
Lead with Culture is his book, another great leadership book. But he writes here, Dave said it wouldn't be easy. He said
Jay.
it would be worth it. Beth, you tell the story again, opening Beth, excuse me, Nili, you
That's
opening
okay.
the book, right, about the principal coming after Christmas break. Who wants to share some good news? And you raise your hand. I'm going to be a pirate.
Yes.
You're lucky you didn't get shot by a bow and arrow. What was it in that moment that made you raise your hand? And it was a life-changing moment. What was it that made you do that and say, yeah, I'm going to do this?
Well, I think that's the other brilliant thing about Teach Like a Pirate, is that you are automatically in a community. So when I joined my first TLAP chat, Dave and Jay, actually, I remember, as being so supportive. Welcome to the crew. Welcome to the crew. And so when you have that, I mean, my students were wonderful, but when you have that support system, it's amazing what you can do with it. So if I say, all right, I put on Twitter or I send in a message, I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell my colleagues and my principal that I'm becoming a pirate. Then you really feel this, you feel this sense of, okay, I have to follow through with it now. I made this commitment. I did it publicly. I have all these people supporting me in the moment. And so that's why I did it, because I said I was going to. My legs were shaking. I got some giggles. I also had some people that were interested, but it was kind of like, my friend, that good friend from college, is reading that part of the book. And I knew exactly what she was talking about when it made her laugh, because she could hear me almost talking. It's like, oh, Nili, like that's Nili being Nili. But, it was me sort of making this out loud commitment. And I still can't believe I did it to this day, but I did it.
Well, and it's been a journey for you, right? The power of a single experience, the power of a single moment, you reading that book, you raising your hand, you going on Twitter and doing all that, it really changed your life. And Nili, you've mentioned pirate a couple of times, and here, it's an acronym. Dave likes these acronyms. Right here it is. There we go. And pirate stands for something. Passion, immersion, rapport, ask and analyze, transformation, and enthusiasm. So if you were tied on an island and you were being attacked by pirates, Nili, and you could only pick one letter, if you could only pick one of the pirate acronym and be that, which one would you say that is?
I have thought about this, and I think that I'd have to go with passion. I really would. And I wrote a post, I think last year, called Passion Up. And I really believe that, I was born with this intense amount of energy. So I think passion and enthusiasm, I mean, it's 9:00 at night right now, so it's not as intense as it usually is. But I think passion and enthusiasm go really well together. But without passion, if you don't absolutely not just love what you do, but are driven to do it, you're not going to wake up in the morning running to school. And if you're not going to wake up in the morning running to school and really wanting to be there, and also inspiring other people to find their unique passions and discover what gets them up and going, you're not going to be as effective as possible. And kids and our colleagues deserve us to be as awesome as we possibly can be, because if that's not the case, then we should go be doing something else that we're super passionate about. So I say we have to passion up and make school as amazing as possible. So definitely P.
And Nili, that's a great answer. Not everyone has that passion, right? And as a school leader, right, if I had an invisible radar gun and I could shoot it at my staff, it's really not invisible because you could see it, right? And you share some stories about people that tried to bring you down and almost tease you about that passion. But you also, in some different roles you had, you talk about getting support and buy-in for the work that you were doing. You were so impassioned, you were so enthusiastic about it, but not everyone else was. And you talk about on page 59 about investing in their passions and finding out what their passions were. Tell me about that journey where you got knocked down a little bit because you wanted everyone to have the passion you were, but not everyone had your same passions. Tell me about that story.
Yeah. So, and that's really the second part of the book. I changed roles from being a fourth grade teacher for a very long time and having this inspirational crew of students that, like I said, will always be with me, to going into this K-3 technology integration role, which was very different. Showing up to school and throwing all these, passionate ideas at 24 kids who are eager to just soak up all of your enthusiasm is different than working with, hundreds of educators, teachers, every role, administrators. And so it was like a
Same
big,
district, Neely? Same
yeah,
district?
same district. Yep. So it
Okay.
was really eye-opening for me. And so, I kind of was still going on, oh my gosh, we did so many awesome things in the classroom. We have to try Genius Hour. We have to do Ed Camp and all these things that, being a pirate educator and getting on Twitter and social media opened my eyes to. You can't throw all of that out there at once. And I really had to learn that, yes, I was so supercharged to share the exciting things that I had learned that past year and in other years, but that it wasn't just about my agenda. It wasn't just about my passion. And to be the most effective, you have to be inspirational and bring yourself to everything you do and nothing less, right? Like I feel that with all of my heart, but you have to know how to pass the mic. And what I realized was that when I slowed down a little bit and had a couple of difficult meetings and started to really, and it's not that I didn't have great conversations with colleagues or wasn't a team player, I truly was, but when I really started to listen and invest my time in helping my colleagues bring out their passions and run with them and make school even more exciting for them, I discovered that, one of my passions is really connecting with people and building relationships. And so, I write about this that I think it was, rapport kind of taking a back seat and I let it take the wheel. And it just was never, it was never the same again. It was just like kind of instead of, trying to roll snowballs uphill, we were going downhill and it was at a faster speed. And I started to build a crew, and it wasn't our unique passions that we all had in common, but that we were willing to embrace each other's. So that was really a game changer, and it taught me a very important lesson that it's a give and take. You have to be willing to take the mic and bring it, but you have to be willing to give the mic and listen wholeheartedly to get others to bring it too.
I love that. I wrote that down here, pass the mic, and you write that in the book too, which, I love it. I want to try it at my school, something like that. But the concept of a silent day as the teacher leader in the classroom, tell me about that concept. And you did that as a teacher, and are people embracing that in your school? Is that something that other teachers are doing?
So I am so guilty in that I've only tried it once. And I have to
Okay,
give, well, and because I tried it the last time I was in the classroom, right? So,
sure.
um, and I have to give full credit here to Paul Solars because that is something that I took among many other gems from Learn Like a Pirate. And it was awesome. Like, talk about passing the mic. And really what, when I talk about it with colleagues, what a great model for students, right? We always want to be doing things that we want to bring out of our students as well. So ideally, we want to give them the mic as much as possible. And I wasn't allowed to talk. And I put a post-it on my shirt that basically said, I'm sorry, I can't talk today. And they did it all. So, one of the other things in his book that it was like gold was this concept of give me five. And we modified it a little bit so that everybody kind of had a five to hold up. And so what it did was it really taught the kids to control the class. And when they wanted to say something, they called it give me five. When they had a question, they called it give me five. And my kids who tend to call it a lot, what they ended up doing was trying to cheer other kids on to call it at least once. So it was a real team effort. They were running discussions at the end of the day. And this was all inspiration from his book. Um, and they did it beautifully. They led the whole day, and I was super proud of them. I would like to bring it back, and it was very accepted by my colleagues. Um, right now, I'm teaching fifth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade in a middle school, and I only have them in trimesters. But I think it like for 40 minutes for the day. But I think even for just a period to try it and to kind of get them ready for it by building a culture where they're feeling like they're ready for it would be awesome. So you challenged me to sort of bring it back. So thank you.
Yeah, let's do it. Bring it back. Give me 5. My wife has been asking for a silent day from me, but that was on the weekend. That's what she's been asking. I don't know about that.
That's so funny.
But your friend Jay Billy says he loves the Give Me 5. And again, if you are watching live, please leave us a question or a comment. We'd love to make you part of the show, and maybe I could pass the mic. Nili, how about leadership, right? So many people, so many teachers just think it's just their classroom, right? And you kind of open that, even though you're still a teacher and you're teaching, you're doing different things in your school. I love that you made this a teacher book, but about leadership. Tell me about, what have you learned about leadership more since the book has come out?
Well, since the book has come out. So that's an interesting question, because I think since the book has come out, and I didn't necessarily anticipate this, but it has certainly like challenged me to live up to the book.
Yeah.
I've even reread it a couple of times, to be completely honest with you, because I want to make sure that this is not just something that, this is part of my journey and this is what I did. I need to still be doing it, and I need to be showing that, and I believe in it. So it makes sense. So since the book, it's interesting. I've taken on a whole new role, and I'm still doing some technology integration, but I'm also teaching 9 sections of classes in a middle school, 5th through 8, in native Massachusetts. So
9
kind
sections?
Yeah. So some of them I only see once or twice a week.
Okay.
So it's not every day. No, I have a wonderful schedule, but so it's kind of in a way like put me back in the classroom, where last year was very much a coaching role, where I was like co-teaching, but I wasn't having students completely by myself unless it was small groups. So now I have a lot of students. By the end of the year, I'll know, I don't know, 400, 500 students maybe. So being back in the classroom kind of put me back in a situation where, yes, I'm doing some coaching, but how can I really still inspire teachers to lead who are in similar situations like me? We're with students most of the day. We're not necessarily out and about in classrooms all day, although that still is part of my job, which I absolutely love. And I think that one thing for teachers to keep in mind is that, yes, we can inspire our colleagues, whether it's meeting before school, after school, doing some really cool initiatives like from 4 o'clock faculty by Rich Chiz, and making sure that we are putting our ideas out there in creative ways, even if we're not leading meetings. Maybe it's having a video, or getting people to meet over lunch. But I think one of the key things that definitely helped me as a teacher is lead with your students. Have your students help lead the school. So whether it's students leading PD, and then we're getting involved with teachers together, having them show off some of the awesome stuff that they're doing, I think is critical, because they're kind of evidence that this really cool way of learning, or these ideas that Mrs. Bartley is, we've got this, right? So 2 things that I've become a part of this year, which I'm really excited about, are 2 sort of tech intern leadership teams that are just comprised of students, but that are led by administrators and myself and colleagues together. And one group just did a presentation in front of the whole entire faculty. So whenever we're in that place of not necessarily feeling stuck, but we need some inspiration to lead beyond the classroom, I think that having your students show off some of the things that they've been participating in, that you have helped lead them in, can be a big game changer for other people to see. I don't know if I answered that so well. I apologize, because I feel like I talked on and on, but let me know if you need to clarify.
I like the point that you brought about the kids. We have a new superintendent in my district, and today we had a community organizational meeting where there was a number of community members, and he said, we need to bring the kids here. And it was great. They were the stars of the meeting, because this is what we're doing, right? We're here to work with them, here to serve them. And I think it's great. It was a great point, because it is all about the kids. And sometimes we lose sight of that, worrying too much about the adult stuff, right?
Right. And they can really, I mean, and my kids, when I was in the classroom too, bringing, I think bringing the class out of the room, like get them out there and, just show some stuff. And suddenly, the learning's in the hallways and it's around the school and people want to be a part of it. So I think that's huge. And the other thing too is like, go talk to your administrators. You want to share something at a staff meeting, if you want to start an initiative where you're getting teachers together around something you want to talk about that, you're passionate about, or you want to find out what they're passionate about, just, I think that, and I even fell into this a little bit too, especially, in my earlier years, a little bit, just being kind of shy and, well, they have their own agenda and they've got to get this done and that done. You never know what's going to happen, especially if you bring some ideas on how to deliver it. A lot of times, like, administrators are looking for things to put into their meeting.
We
And
are.
you come with
We
a
are.
plan, right? You come
Thank
with
you.
a plan and be like, hey, I got this. Would you take a look at it? What do you think about doing this? Or leading it together, seeing how what you come up with to impact your colleagues, see how that can fit the vision of your administrators. That's huge, right? So if you guys can come up with something together, it can make a real difference. And once your colleagues see you sharing, and especially if you rock it, they're going to come back to you and they're going to look for that leadership in you. And it's really going to change your role. That's you define your role. And I think when we realize that, that it can go past the job description and beyond your title, that's everything. And then you've sort of broken through this wall and, potential is endless.
Well, I hope a lot of teachers heard that message. I might share that message in my school, because yes, we are looking for those teachers to step up. We are looking for teachers to lead, and we are looking for that input. I was fortunate to have Todd Whitaker on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was all about what do your best people think? What are your best people doing? Support your best people, and when those best people bring those things to you, even if it's not one of the best teachers, right? Let them go with it. Let them try it. Let them do something. So that's a great point, Nili. And you're leading the way for teachers. Nili, let me shift gears a little bit outside your school. Have you transitioned now, since this book is such a hit and it's doing so well? Like, have you been presenting for the book, like at conferences and things like that? And are you enjoying that aspect of this work?
I love presenting. One of the things that I've discovered, I think even just through writing, is finding, whatever you want to call it, like your leadership strengths, or, my kids like to call it superpowers. So I put that into the book. One of my leadership superpowers that I discovered was connecting with people. Like, I love getting up and talking and connecting and leading sessions. I love to make people laugh. I think that humor is huge. And so I talked about the book and presented ideas based on the book in a conference in March at the MassQ Leadership Conference here in Massachusetts. And that was it was a lot of fun. I actually asked my principal to join me because I feel as though where I work now, I'm so happy. It's like I have to pinch myself to remember that it's really happening, that this job can be that good. It's kind of like the unwritten chapter now, that I'm not that I wasn't in a thriving culture before, but this culture is truly thriving. And so I got to present with her, and she offered some great ideas from an administrator's perspective on leading beyond titles. We are going to do it again at a principals conference here in Massachusetts at the Cape over the summer. And I get to keynote at a conference in New Jersey with Jay about the book, which I'm very excited about, right, at Dive in August. And there's a couple other potential conferences that I'll get to do the same thing, so that are coming up. So I have a few down the road in just a few months. And I'm just, I'm enjoying the ride. I've been really blessed and overwhelmed with positivity. So it's been awesome.
Cool. Well, keep rolling with it, and your enthusiasm is infectious. You're clearly an extrovert, which I am as well. So you got two forces coming together. So that's really cool. But and I look forward to seeing one of your presentations. Nili, you
Thank
also
you.
write about in the book about your first social media post and getting on social media, and then that you had a fear of the misinterpretation, right? Tell me about your growth with your PLN. You mentioned Jay, you mentioned Beth, people, Paul, Solars, Rich Chiz, people that have helped you grow through your PLN. Tell me about your social media journey.
Well, it started with like just, having a few people that I was connected to. I think one ISTE, I think it was like 2014. I was like, oh, I got to get on Twitter. And then Beth helped me and she's like, get to follow J Billy. And it kind of went from there. um, and it really started with TLAP and having the courage to start just putting myself out there. And then from putting tweets out there, then all of a sudden I was writing blog posts. And I think like, I don't know, I really need to be writing more, but all of a sudden over the last few years, I had like 30 of them. And it was funny because I remember I put something out there, I tried a student ed camp or whatever, and an educator in Florida saw it on Twitter and said, well, when are you gonna write about that? And I was like, I just did. Like, what do you mean write about it? So he wanted me to write a post. And this was, blogging was very new to me.
Sure.
And after that post, because I had this teach like a pirate and learn like a pirate, PLN, the community was so supportive that people retweeted it. And then all of a sudden, like people responding and saying, well, I want to try this with my kids, or, I can do something similar. And all of a sudden, Beth was doing it with her elementary school, which she was a principal of at the time. And it hit me that, okay, even if one person is inspired, and I know Dave talks about this a lot, by something that I put out there, it's worth it. And then I started digging deeper and saying, you know what, even if I get something out of it, if all it is that I'm reflecting, and I know a lot of people talk about this with writing posts, then it's worth it. And so I kind of came over that fear. Jay has read so many of my posts before I actually click submit, and I'm getting better at that. But it still is, even now, it's a little nerve wracking. But because I have so much support, the negativity, which I am very lucky to say there's been a very small amount of, but it's easier to digest. And, you listen to people like, I have so many heroes out there, but Brene Brown is definitely one of them. And, what I've learned from her recently, her Netflix gig was amazing. When you put yourself out there in the arena, right, it's going to happen. You're going to get hurt. You're going to fall down. And you have to be prepared for that. And I think that I've gained strength from that, but having a crew that I know I can depend on to help lift me up is so, so, so important. So for people out there that are wondering, well, there's a great video on, what might be, I forget who is the author, Derek something, maybe, what might be obvious to me, might not be to someone else. It might be amazing, right? And I'll send you the link if I can find it. You may have seen it before. It's spectacular.
Yeah.
But if people are kind of doubting that, then just know that it could be making an impact for someone out there, and you'll never know unless you try, right? And so having those people around you to cheer you on, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I love it. That was great, and it's very authentic, Nili. And you're going through this. And we had a friend of mine on the show that gave me the best advice, and I love it, and I say it a lot. But I keep thinking about, just keep rolling. Keep rolling. You're going to have people that say bad things and whatever, and keep rolling. There's going to be negative. Sometimes I joke I could give out hundreds after school, and there'd be people that complain that you should have given me 520s instead. So
right.
You just keep rolling and you deal with it, and so Nili, what's next? You got another book coming? What's next for Nili Bartley? You got presentations, you're doing podcasts, you're doing blogs. What's next for you? You got some kids there sleeping in the home office.
Yeah. What's next for me is I'm going to plug this in. So I thought I had like 50%, but it's running low. So
you're dying. You don't want to play. You don't want to fall, for power here.
Nope. There we go. Okay.
Cool. So now that you're juiced up, what's next for you?
What's next? Yeah. So I have to keep writing. I get that itch. Do you ever get that itch? You're like,
oh yeah,
I gotta write. Anytime I'm inspired, I have to write. And it's funny because my English teacher, my sophomore year of high school, I loved him, and his 3 words he said to me, years and years ago: never stop writing. And I did for a while, but I need to keep doing that. And so just the act of writing is huge. So I want to make a commitment to do that. What's next for me really is I'm so happy in Natick, and I'm so invested in this district that I'm just really committed to and diving in to learn as much as I can about middle school, about being a contributor to the culture where I am at Wilson Middle School where I am, but also within the district. And it's mind-boggling to me. Like, I have to pause for a second. I just think what makes a huge difference, right, in just relationships, when you have that feeling of like running in every day and you get your energy from the kids and your colleagues, such a huge piece is knowing that you feel valued, not just from the students, but your colleagues and especially your administrators. When you know that the people that you are working with value who you are and your work and what you bring to the table, like, I'm so all in right now that I would do anything for this school and for the people in it. So what's next is being the best I can be for them and growing with Natick.
Very cool. Great answer. And what's next is tomorrow morning, Friday. It's late here on the East Coast. I know we have some California viewers, but let's get rolling with rapid fire so you can get in bed. I'll be in bed, and school will be here. I like to get there early on Fridays and get rolling, and so we'll get rolling. We're going to do the rapid fire, which is a fan favorite here. Neely, hang on, and let's roll with it, okay? Rapid fire, quick answers. Here we go. Last book you read?
They Call Me Mr. D.
Yeah, break from rapid fire. Tell me more about that. What I've heard that.
Yeah, so this is written by the principal of Columbine.
That's it. Yes, and that's a Burgess book, right?
Yes. And okay. I've never read anything like it. I couldn't put it down. I mean, he stayed, I believe, for 15 years to see the kids who were at preschool at that time graduate from high school.
Wow. And
you get to know him before, during, and after. I think one of the quotes from maybe an athlete that he had coached was, they would, and I could be wrong here, I apologize if I am, but they would run through a brick wall for him. So just getting to know this amazing human being, and obviously you cry, you feel the tragedy, and you also feel the heart and the community. So and how they got through it. It's just a tremendous book, and I highly recommend it for any human being. But it was phenomenal.
Cool. I saw that on my PLN, and yeah, cool. All right, Louis, I broke it. I think that's the first time I ever broke out of rapid fire. So you're breaking rules here on.
I apologize.
ELB. Last movie you saw?
This is embarrassing. Not because of the title, because it was over the summer. Rapid fire. Mamma Mia. Here we go again.
That's cool, man. I heard it was not good. I heard it.
It's awesome. It was so good. It was so good. I'm seeing a fake ABBA concert tomorrow night. I'm very excited about it.
Let's rock it.
They're not really ABBA. I thought they were, but they're not.
Favorite place to travel?
Israel.
Wow. Very cool. Greatest challenge in your work?
Grading.
Great. Yeah.
I have my
Cool.
own like thoughts about that. We're doing okay. Everybody does great.
Something that motivates you. You shared a lot of what motivates you. Something that motivates you you haven't talked about yet.
Something that motivates me. Oh, can it be anything personal too?
Anything. This is yours. This is your show, girl.
Right. If I know there's going to be dancing, I'm in.
Whoa. Here she goes. There was no dancing at Asbury Park, but you still brought it that dancing. Okay. You need a drink before you dance, or
No,
you the first one
oh,
out there?
I just need music. It's like in my blood. I hear it and I have to move.
Watch out. All right. We're going to dive into some New England here. Red
Boy.
Sox or Patriots?
Red Sox.
Okay. Brady or Big Poppy?
Oh, so hard. I have to, for different reasons. I've got to call it a tie.
Whoa.
I love them both.
Pedro or Schilling?
Pedro. I mean, he's so funny in the dugout.
Where is your Boston accent? The ka and the shots. What's
Yeah. Well, I did
what
live in
happened? It's like you almost need a translator as you talk to some people from up there.
Yeah, no, it's pretty thick. I did live in Missouri for 5 years. I know that was a long time ago, but my husband's also from Missouri. So maybe if I was around the Boston accent more, I would. No,
But you
I just
grew
don't
up
have
in
it
New
anymore.
England?
I grew up about half an hour south of Boston, and now I live about half an hour west.
See, that's odd that it's not in,
I know.
deep in
I
there.
can bring it if you want.
Well, I mean, get some shots in the car, and sometimes. Best purchase under $100 that has had a great impact on your life.
Lead like a pirate, and
You had to buy the book. They didn't
I
give you one.
did. She's like
Beth.
my sister. I'm gonna buy her book. Oh my God, I cried. Oh, everything. And lead with culture.
Jay getting a shout out. Jay's been watching the whole show. Jay, how about a question, Jay? We appreciate you watching. You know what I mean?
So appreciate it. He's the best.
Something about Nili Bartley that people do not know.
I can juggle like 3 things.
Wow.
It's not very impressive. No.
You want to demonstrate right this second?
I do have my sons. I really didn't plan on this.
I didn't plan on it.
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Hold on, I've got like 3 balls here. Let's see if I can. Oh, wait a minute. I should be standing up. Hold on. This is embarrassing because it's live. Now I have to master it.
I put you on the spot.
You did. I can juggle, but I'm like, there's cords everywhere.
You're sitting, there's cords. It's 9:30.
It's not happening right now.
Where did you learn that?
Where did I learn not juggling? I learned it in Missouri, but I have to take this off for a second. Oh, there we go. Okay. I did a few. Okay, we're going to stop there. I can't do it, but I've got this cord here, so it's a little...
I believe that you can juggle.
I can. I'll do a video next time. All right, move on. Let's move on. That's not rapid.
A passion of yours outside your family and outside your teaching.
I already did dancing. I love to play sports. I played softball for years, so I started playing squash, and I love it. Definitely, like I will get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to go play squash. Love it.
That's like the cousin to racquetball, right?
They're related.
Okay. Jay says you play the ukulele.
Oh, yeah, I'm teaching myself. Yeah. So 40 years old and I'm teaching myself how to play the ukulele. So yeah, like I love music and sports. My family is very musically and athletically inclined. So those are always been passions of mine.
I like that. They're going to bust on your juggling exposition there, but
that
I forgive you.
I really can do it.
Nili, you were very open about some challenges you had. What's been a personal or professional hurdle that was a challenge for you?
So like that I'm, energetic, and I, it's funny. Somebody said to me the other day, it was a teacher, and she stopped me in the hallway and she said, the kids, because I'm still new at this school, she said, they're telling me like, she's always so happy. And she said it like really quietly. And so I think that, I'm very lucky, so I feel like I have this enthusiasm. I'm going to spread it. It's like a responsibility to spread it. The world needs as much happiness as possible, right? So I love that. I enjoy it. But when you have a lot of energy and you feel things so like intensely, when you're not happy, like that can hit me really hard too. So I'm sensitive. So I'm like, like I put a lot of energy into crying around school with excitement that when I really that be a challenge to be resilient. And then like when you're this really happy teacher at school and then you're not happy for a second, like it's noticeable, right?
Mm.
So because I have sort of, I can be really, really, really sad or really, really, really happy because I take things to heart. That can be a challenge, especially when things are a little bit tough to get over, but it's okay. It is who I am. And I know that I'm not like that resilient, super like awesome rubber band that just gets right back into place. I'm a little slower. I'm like a really old rubber band that's like really stretched out. But that's a hurdle sometimes. And I just have to sort of accept it and then build myself back up and keep going, like you said.
Keep rolling.
Keep rolling, keep
I
going.
appreciate your honesty. That was a deep answer. Short-term personal goal, 3 to 5 months.
As I said, I want to, I only wrote like 2 blog posts this year. So short-term goal is to write more often.
Cool. Keep on writing. Long-term personal goal, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, well, so I haven't like mentioned my family enough. I just realized that I'm like, oh yeah, that's my personal life too. I like long-term goal is honestly just I have an 8 and 6-year-old. I want to be the best mom, which I don't always feel like I am sometimes. Best mom and best wife that I can possibly be and balance everything. I'm like balance, not equally, but give them as much love and attention as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had to bump this podcast back to get the kids to bed and do all the things we had to do. I dig that, Nili. How can people get in touch with you, your Twitter handle, and if you inspired someone today, what's the best way they can get in touch with you?
I would say Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot, probably more than anything else. So I'm like not tweeting 100 times a day, but I definitely check it. So it's N Bartley 6.
And what's the 6 stand for?
Oh, N Bartley was taken. So I love the number 6, but it's not that sentimental.
Okay, you just grabbed it.
Just took it. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. I never asked Jay Billy why he has 2. We give him a hard time. We always say, "Hey, Jay Billy 2," but he's got a 2 in there.
Jay Billy 1 was taken.
Probably.
Certainly, our book recommendation is Nili's book tonight. If I could get this in the screen here. Here it is, Lead Beyond Your Title. You did a fantastic job tonight on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to get this, they call me Mr. D book. That was, that was powerful that you shared that as a school leader. That's something that we never want to go to. But here's Nili's book. Guys, check it out. If you're looking for inspiration, whether it's over the summer, whether it's on a weekend, it's a fast read. It's short snippets. Very well done, Nili. And Nili, I took a quote, and I want to share the quote that I took out of the book that you had in there. But do you have a favorite quote, Nili? I don't want to put you on the spot again, but do you have something that's my quote? That's what I like to say. That's my thing.
I know what Jay wants me to say, but that's Dave Burgess's quote. Do I have a quote specifically that I've written?
It doesn't have to be yours. No, I got Henry Ford's here.
Yeah, no, because I love that one.
I love that. That was great.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't write this quote, and I apologize. I should have been more prepared, but I do like this one has stayed with me forever, and I think it's anonymous, and I'm going to misquote it, but it's something along the lines of, "Kids will do amazing things if we let them," and that has stayed with me forever.
Write that down in the Rocket book. Look, I got 2 pages here. Kids will do amazing. I love it.
And I'm probably misquoting it.
It's good enough for me here. And I love that you wrote in the book here. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. and that's Henry
Henry
Ford.
Ford.
And that goes to, you know what, as a leader, yeah, you have to listen to your people. You have to make connections with them. But you also have to move the dial. You also have to push people beyond their comfort zone, beyond their limits. And that quote, I loved it. That was another punch in the face there. Because as principal, I ask my people all the time, but they're in their comfort zones, and I need to get them out of their comfort zones. So that's a great quote to end in. If I had asked my people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, and that was Henry Ford. Nili, it has been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank
Again,
you
if you're
so
watching
much.
the show on replay, leave us a quote and reach out to Nili. She's doing great things with her PLN, and she's doing great things in Massachusetts, great things with her book. I look forward to seeing you at another conference, Nili.
Me too. Me too. Thank you so much. And if you are watching it, or you're going to watch it, rather, make sure you fast forward through the juggling part. I feel like I can make up for that. I'm going to have to video myself.
That was my fault. That was why I put you on the spot. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Listen, it's fine. My husband was away, and either they took turns waking me up in the middle of the night for the past 3 nights. So I shouldn't have really done that. I'm really tired.
This is Nili Bartley, everyone. We are going to sign off here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. Continue to go out and do great things in your school. Continue to inspire people. Tomorrow's Friday. You bring it on a Friday and inspire those kids. We are going to tune out here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. Let me get this music going. There we go, Nili.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. You did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Check out Nili on Twitter. Check out her book. There it is.
Thank you.
Stay on the line a sec, Nili.
Oh, okay.